Scatterplots and line fitting. Spreadsheets can be really handy for drawing graphs. However, if you don't know what you're doing, the graph can be cluttered, incorrect, or just plain silly. Sometimes we want to look at the relationship between two measures or variables in a set of data. A graph can help to show how a change in one variable can be related to a change in another variable. Here's an example. Helen sells Choco Nutties. She has noticed that she seems to sell more packets on cold days than she does when the weather is warm. This is interesting to her, and she decides to see if there is a pattern. So each weekday for the next 3 weeks she keeps track of the temperature in degrees Celsius and the number of packets of Choco Nutties she sells. This gives her 15 observations corresponding to the 15 weekdays. She records the data in a spreadsheet and gives it to her brother to make a graph. It looks like this. Helen does not find that very helpful, so she asks us for help. First, we want to make a graph, and then we want to fit a line to it. At the end, it should look like this. Drawing a scatter plot. We highlight the 2 columns of data, including the titles, and click on the chart wizard. We select XY scatter plot, not line graph. Line graphs will not show the relationship between the 2 measures or variables. That's what Helen's brother used. We choose the XY scatter plot option without lines joining up the dots. We can preview it or any of the other options to see what we want. When we are sure, we click Next. The correct data has been chosen, so we don't need to do anything here, so click Next. It's a good idea to put in the titles now. Then we click Next. For now, we will put the graph as an object in the spreadsheet with the data and click Finish. This graph is correct, but has some unnecessary clutter, so we delete the legend by highlighting and then deleting. We don't want shading in the graph, so we right-click in the plot area and choose Format Plot Area. Click on None under where it says Area. This means we will now have no shading. Now we want to fit a line of best fit. Excel calls this a trend line. Right-click on one of the data points in the series and select Add Trend Line. Select Linear Line, and in the Options tab, select Display Equation on Chart. OK. Move the equation to where we can see it. And there we have fitted a line to the data as Helen requested. We still need to explain what it means. In the equation are 2 numbers, negative 2.0615, which we will round to negative 2.1, and 102.7. Negative 2.1 is the slope of the line. We can tell this because it is the value that is multiplied by the x. 102.7 is the intercept. The slope value, negative 2.1, also known as the coefficient of x, tells us that for each extra degree of temperature, on average, the daily sales decreased by 2.1 packets of Choco Nutties. We say it has decreased because it has a negative slope. If it had had a positive slope, then the daily sales would have increased for each extra degree of temperature. We can only say this about the data to which the line is fitted. To make generalizations about it, we would need to use inferential statistics. Helen's original idea was that she sells more packets of Choco Nutties on cold days. This graph and this equation seem to support that hypothesis. The intercept tells us how many packets she would sell if the temperature was 0 degrees. However, this is outside the range of temperatures in the data, so is unlikely to be of any useful interpretation. This is usually the case with intercept values. In summary, if we are looking at the relationship between 2 measures in a set of data, we are best to use the XY scatter plot. To fit a line, we use the command Add a Trend Line. It is best to get rid of clutter in graphs so that the message is clear. And the slope or coefficient of x tells us about the relationship between the 2 variables.